Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a Dread Effects review. In today's review we are looking at the Flake King fine line tapes. I've got an array of the products that Flake King do and I'm going to run through these with you today. We'll have a little test on this panel. This is an aluminium composite panel that's all prepped up and cleaned. We're going to use the PS290, drop some solvent based paint in it, and we're going to spray over some of the tapes, pull these tapes away, and then you'll see how crisp you can get these lines. Now I've been using fine line in airbrushing, not all the time. It's always nice to have it on your shelf, you've got it to hand. And I've been more so using it recently because I'm getting really into the lowrider style artwork like this. So if you want to get into this style of artwork, these are the tapes that go hand in hand with this style of work. So the range that we've got today, we've got the green prime line. I've got a 3mm, I've got a 6, and I've got a 1mm, which is absolutely tiny, guys. I mean, if that's picking that up, that's really wafer thin. So you'll get some really nice tight curves with that for all your intricate lines. So that's the green. We've got the orange prime line. We've got that in a 3 and a 1 again, so that's another wafer thin one. The green and the orange are slightly different. One's going to be more flexible than the other, but we'll try that as we go on here and see which one's better. I've got the crepe one, again in a 1mm, and that is just like wafer thin. You can see that bend. And we've got a 2mm, a 3mm on that one, so we can try that as well. The green and the orange are the same on temperatures, so if you're using spray booth and you're baking things like that, them two will be absolutely fine. The crepe's a little bit less on temperature, but I've not got booth conditions in here as in heat. The best I can get this room up to is probably max 30, and that's more than good enough for working with tapes. You will find if you're in a studio like mine and it's cold, your tapes will not be as flexible. So if you can get a bit of warmth in your room, a warmer tape will be more flexible than a cold tape. When it comes to storing fine line tapes, or any tape for that matter, if you've got masking tapes, never leave your masking tapes or fine line sitting flat on a table, because this edge is got adhesive on it. When you touch it, you always feel a bit sticky there. If you're leaving tapes or your fine line flat on a table, that's picking up the dirt, and then when you come to tape out, that dirt is on that edge of that tape. So it's always best to either stand your rolls up or hang them up like that on a peg if you can. And if you can store your fine line in some tins, you can get some round like CD tins, that would be ideal. Drop your fine line in there with a lid on it, and it will stop your tapes drying out, because tapes do dry out after a long period of time. The adhesion on the tapes does dry out. You will find that. So what I'll do is I'll move on to the next stage. I'll fire up the compressor, and then we'll go through these range of tapes. We'll try some real tight curves, we'll do some lines, I'll drop some solvent base over it, we'll drop some water base over it, and then we'll pull these tapes away and just see how well these tapes perform. So I'll see you in the next step. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay some stripes out in the different ranges, and you'll see the sort of curves you can get with this. So we're going to start off with the green prime. I'm just going to do a line down here. Now I've got the room set to, it's about 14C in here, so it's not exactly really cold and it's not over warm. So just do a simple line, and then to cut back on these, I always lay the blade flat to it and then pull back with the tape. And we'll just do a bend on this one. And this green fine line feels really flexible. They're not great curves, but it's just a demo just to show you the flexible on this tape. So that's the 6. We'll move on to a 3, and I'll drop a line next to that. I have used this green 3 in a couple of previous videos on the mini bonnet, and I've put multiple layers up to it. I put the FK50 surface binder up to the edge, and I've metal flaked up to the edge, and when I've pulled away with the 3mm, it's been absolutely fine. So that's the 3mm. And as I was saying, if you can hang your tapes up, these are perfect, like the meat hooks, to get your rolls of tape on. So we're going for the 1. Now this is really, really thin. So if we drop a line next to that, and this one, you can get some really, really tight curves with this. They're not the straightest of lines, but that really does bend and curve really, really well. And then what we'll do is we'll just press over that. It's always good to go back over your line and just make sure that's down. Because there's been some times where I've put tapes down, and like I say, I've used some of the other tapes, gone for a real tight curve, and then on these curves it just starts to pull back. But the green seems like it's fine. There's no lifting on them tight radiuses. And they're the sort of curves you get in the 6. You probably get a little bit more out of that on a 6, a little bit more curve out of it, but I wouldn't push it more than that, because when you start pushing a thicker vinyl on a tight curve and you're pulling and stretching, you can lose the shape. You'll start to make the line go thinner. So that's the green prime. That's that one down. We'll try the orange. Now there's only 2 I've got of this one. So we've got the 3. So we'll just try a line with that. And you can just pull and snap. But if you are doing that, as you can see, you change the shape. So always start on a fresh piece. Now this one does feel a little bit more flexible than the green 3mm. So that's the 3, and we'll drop onto the 1. And again, super. These aren't the best pin lines, but they're just, like I say, for the demo. But you get the gist of how much these tapes will bend on a curve. I really, really like this 1mm in both the green and the orange. Just give that a little press down, and they're both holding up. The green's staying down on them real tight curves. sometimes you can put your line down and leave it for a few minutes, and then you'll start to see the edges pull back on tapes. I've used like no branded tapes, older ones, and some are good, some are really poor, and they just lift up. As I say, I've got some of this small, these ones, and this is an absolute nightmare. As you can see, this stuff just does not want to go around corners. It all chews up, it starts to pull. Doing the same lines as this one, and this one just starts to pull back there. It's not giving a straight line. So this stuff is no good at all, and this is a 1mm, and it's horrendous. So it's really nice to find a tape that works. So that's the orange, and that's on them tight lines, that's holding on, that's not pulling back in any way. The adhesions grab that really nice, so you know you can drop your lines down, walk away, and when you come back it's not lifted. So we'll move on to the crepe one, and we've got the 3mm. Now this tape feels a bit more like masking tape, but again, super nice curves with it. It does feel a lot stronger. It feels more like a masking tape feel to it. Just give it a little wipe because it is picking up. Just on these edges, that might be a bit of dust that's settled on the board. But that's grabbing on them corners really nice, and it feels, it's got a real nice adhesion to the board. It's grabbed the board really, really well. So we'll try the one. So we've got the one. And this is, yeah, it's definitely, now I've got my glasses on, it's definitely that like masking tape, but performs really, really nice. So more so of a general purpose, I'd say this one, for your airbrushing, masking out little intricate areas, curves. That's what I'd use this one for. But holding up, yeah, now I've got my glasses on, it's definitely masking tape edge, but really, really nice, super curves on that, and it's holding the adhesion on all these tapes is really, really good. They're all holding nice on all them tight curves. The 6mm holding down. Yeah, they're all doing what they're supposed to do. So all three tapes on this test get the thumbs up, guys. They work. They will get you them nice radiuses, them 1mm. Definitely go for a 1mm if you're going for real tight curves like that. A 1 and a 2, I'd push it to about this sort of curves, and then as you're getting up your bigger lines and you want your straights, your thick straights, go for your 6mm, your 5s, your 4s, and your 3s for your next sort of curve, your next sort of wave or curve or circle that you're doing. So that's the tapes down. What we'll do now is we'll get some paint, we'll drop some paint, we'll do a band of solvent over these, And then I'm going to get a hairdryer and I'm going to heat these tapes up to as hot as I can get them. Put the hairdryer right next to them and heat them up. We'll do a band of solvent and we'll do a band of water base, and then we'll pull the tapes away and we'll just see how crisp these are. So I'll see you in the next step. Right, it's a little bit noisy. I've got some solvent, some of the glue that I used in the mini bonnet video in the PS290. I've got the extractor on, and we're just going to spray a band over these. We'll let this go off. We'll do a band to about here, and then we'll do some water base, and I'm going to cook these with a hairdryer right up close, and then we'll pull these away and see what happens. So I'm doing this directly on the tape. So that's that on the green, doing the same on the orange. And this is a metallic solvent base coat. Now move on to this one. Do another pass on that, darken that off, get that paint build up. So they've had a good coat of solvent over them. A real good hit, and this is quite a thinned out mix with a lot of thinners, so and I can just see that one. I've slightly lifted there. See that little white edge? That one's slightly pulled back, but I have hit this with a lot of thinners in this paint because I had to thin it down for the PS290. But they're holding up with just that one's just slightly pulled back there, very slightly. So that's with the solvent. What we'll do is I'll give this a little clean through. I'll drop some water base in and we'll do a water base pass here. I've got some water base, some of the golden high flow acrylics in. And we'll drop a pass of water base down the bottom over these. And as you know, with water base you cannot go too heavy too quick. We'll give that a little dry up with some heat. Just dry that down. And that's another good test for tapes when you put it. I mean, this hairdryer gets on the hottest setting. And that's a test for tapes when you're putting them down. When you're putting heat to them, that's when you know how good the adhesion properties are in tape. They'll start to pull back or shrink or do their thing. And this green here, that's pulled on them curves. The orange is absolutely fine, that's stayed down, and this one stayed down as well. Give it a little dry again. So that's full coverage on water base. We've got full coverage on solvent at the top. Just really cook that down, and that is hot, guys. And that's right up close against them tapes. Giving them some heat. So my thoughts on these, I might be completely wrong. I have to look Jen up on the actual info on them, but I find this one more flexible than the green. The green is pulled here on the one, you see there? That's pulled back. And this was a cleaned down panel and prepped as though you was going to paint it. So it was panel wiped, cleaned, and the tape was at the room temperature was at 15C, so it was I warmed it up in here for a good half an hour before, so I had quite a normal sort of warm temperature room. Pressed that down, you see me put the tapes on, and then I went over the top again with my finger and pressed down. I did hit this with solvent base paint, which was thinned quite a bit with thinners, so whether the thinners has attacked this and lifted, but that's pulled back. I have noticed on the green, the 3mm that I had, when I've used it on tight curves or radiuses, it pulled, and that was on the 3mm, it pulled back. That's why I took that 3mm there to that size of a curve. But the 6 is absolutely fine, the 3 is fine on that, the 1 has pulled on them little radiuses there. But we'll take these off and you get super clean lines, as you can see. Really, really clean. So if I was using these sets, I would use the greens in my conditions and like temperatures that I'm using. I'd use the greens for straights, curves, and I would go for the orange in the 1 if you're doing some real tight stuff, because that seems to have held back a lot better on this one. super clean again. So that all the tapes are giving you real nice clean lines. But I find the orange more flexible on the 1mm, and it's held back really, really well. That's the 3. And there's a line on the 3. So they're all performing nice. They're giving you nice clean lines. And then the correct one, which again, nice. Not as clean as these ones, but this is more like a masking tape edge, so you won't get that real sharp line compared to that. Won't be as sharp as what these ones are because it's a different material that you're using. But for general use, if you're airbrushing and you want to mask out some real intricate sharp edges and things like that and get around some real tight curves, the correct one's really, really good. That's held on the adhesion, and looking down the side of the board, none of them seem to have left any residue. And I blasted that with really hot heat. You wouldn't be able to hold your hand in front of that, and I cooked that paint down. So they've all not left any residue behind. They've all performed. I would go for, if my personal choice would be the prime orange for the 1mm, definitely, and the correct for the 1mm, and then anything bigger. The green's fine on your 6s, your 3s. If you're not doing so tight curves with the green, yes, but that did pull. Now, whether that's because I hit it with a lot of thinners in that base coat. I think if you're on a bigger gun and you're backing off a bit and doing it, I think you'll be absolutely fine. They've all performed. I can't say that they're bad. They're all good tapes. But you've seen that one pull back on the 1mm on the orange, perfect. The 1mm on the crepe, perfect. Works really well. Not as clean an edge than these two. That one. So that's my thoughts on the Flake King fine line range. They all perform, guys, and they have performed better than other fine line tapes that I've used in my airbrush. I mean, you've seen me run through this one, and these are absolute, they're no good. They don't work. They wouldn't, you see it pull back. I've tried a bit on there with these little ones. Yes, 3M, big brand, big company, but I've used their fine lines, and I've got one here. I don't know which one of the 3M brand this one is. Yeah, great for straights, but when you're talking tight curves, no. But these Flake King ones, they've worked. It's nice to find a brand that on the 1mm you can get these super fine curves on these. That did pull a bit on the green, but I'd say the orange is more flexible. So I'd use the orange if you're coming down to the ones, the 2mm. Anything bigger on your straight lines and not so tight curves. The green's absolutely fine. The crepe I would use definitely for day-to-day airbrushing, masking out little pieces and doing some nice intricate pieces on airbrush work. That works brilliant. So they've all performed, apart from that 1mm that pulled back. As I say, whether it was me hitting it too much with too much thinners, I mean, we were going close on that to get that paint coverage right up close. And you're blasting on a little tiny little 1mm piece of vinyl. That paint's hitting that. So it could have just edged underneath it and just pulled it slightly. But it did do it. So I'm sticking to the orange, the green on the bigger, the 6, the 3, and definitely the crepe. So yeah, Flake King fine line tapes, recommended, guys. It works. I've used other ones in the past and they have failed. So we've just done that test. You've seen that you've seen the sort of curves you can get, and they do work. So yeah, highly recommended. I'll leave links in the description where you can pick all these range up, and as you've seen at the beginning of the video, you can get these in the tins, which is really cool. So you don't have to buy, you can buy individual tapes, or you can buy a set. So you get your 6, 5, 3, 4, 2, 1, say in a tin. Have a look, guys. They're all on the website. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you join me in the next one, because we're doing a rerun on the Krios PS270, as it is now over a year and I've hammered this brush. I'm going to do another little review on why I think it is a brilliant brush. So yeah, that's the next video that's coming up. It's the Krios PS270, a rerun review. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.